Hi everyone, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Valencia for race 2 in the Coppa Shell series of the Ferrari Challenge. It is the opening round of the season for 2017 here in Spain. Up next, we are home to our spiritual home, Italy, Monza. Then it's Budapest, La Casale, Silverstone, Imola, and all rounded out right at the end of October, of course, in the glittering finale Mondiale in Mugello. Big calendar, big series, new car, lots of new drivers, new teams. Everything is very, very good in the world of the Ferrari Challenge, and lots of spectators here at the circuit Riccardo Tormo to enjoy the racing. 4 kilometre circuit with 14 turns, 9 left and 5 right. Circuit that was built in 1999, and there you can see the shape of the circuit. And it's a real spectator-friendly circuit because wherever you are situated around the perimeter of the circuit, you can virtually see it all. It's in a natural bowl and a stadium-type environment, so it lends itself to spectating some great racing, and that's what we're expecting in the 30-minute duration race for the Coppa Shell category, which is made up primarily of amateur and gentlemen drivers and some ladies as well. Track temperature, as you can see, a shade under 30 degrees. Air temperature, a really rather beautiful 23 degrees. It's a little bit more overcast than yesterday. And there we look at yesterday's victor, Johnny Lawson, who will be starting this race from P2 on the grid. He was just knocked out of the pole sitting place by Rick Lovett, who we will come to, the Canadian racer, in just a moment. So it was Johnny Lawson that finished P1 yesterday. Rick Lovett, the Canadian racer that's going from pole position today, finished in P2, with Eric Chung finishing in P3. There is our pole sitter, Rick Lovett then, Canadian racer. Very, very popular individual indeed, and a very, very potent racer. And clearly has found some pace in this new 488 car to put himself on pole position for today's race. So Rick Lovett then. And now seems like a really good opportunity to hear from him and find out what his aspirations are for the race. A win, I suspect.
Yeah, wonderful pole this morning. The team was really, really well prepared. We went over video. We took some risks on the track, but we put it all out there, and really, really happy with it. And the boys helped us a lot to get ready for this morning. Thanks.
Well, Rick is always someone that credits the team. Kessel Racing, that Rick Lovett races for, knows just how important it is for the team to give him a car underneath him that can win, and certainly it can. Lovett and Larson then on row 1, then it's Herney and Hanna. Skeltemar and Eric Chung go on row 3 of the grid, P5 and P6. The next bunch of rows sees Thomas Gosno with a of speed in qualifying. He goes from P7. There's Vladimir Haladik, Claudio Schiavone, Murat Kuhadaroglu, Christian Kinch, Eric Prinot, before we find the first of the lady racers, Manuela Gosner, going from P13. Tommy Lindroth, and then it's Peter Girk, Deborah Mayer, Lim, Koch, and Madsen. So it is the Riccardo Tormo circuit here in Valencia in Spain. It's the year that we celebrate the 70th anniversary of Ferrari, which means the paddock really is a place to be in between the racing, with lots of activities and lots of exhibitions for everyone to enjoy. And that will prove the theme throughout the season this year, and good spectator interest here in Spain for the Ferrari Challenge opening round here at Valencia, as well, of course, as the 70th anniversary. Races.ferrari.com is the portal for you to take a look at to find out all that you could possibly want to know with regards to the Ferrari Challenge. So, as I mentioned, it's a brand new car for this season. It's the 6th car that has been used in the Ferrari Challenge, which all started with the 348. as we look at Manuela Gosner then, who is one of the lady racers, one of 3 lady racers in the Coppa Shell category. And Manuela doing a lot of racing this year and is very much one to watch, not only in the Ladies' Cup, but in the races overall as well. Celebrating her birthday just a couple of days ago. So Manuela Gosner then in the all-black car there that you can see. One of the 3 ladies in the race, Deborah Mayer and Tina Koch. The others, there indeed is Deborah Mayer, Kessel Racing driver. And Deborah Mayer with Claudio Schiavone. And Deborah Mayer really enjoying her time in the Ferrari Challenge. Made her debut in the Ferrari Challenge last year and really so enjoyed it. Is back on the grid this year. And Tina Koch is another one of those lady racers and is very welcome to join us on the grid. She representing the Formula Racing squad.
Hi, my name is Manuela Gosner from Italy. This year, our Ladies' Cup is starting again today here in Valencia. It's gonna be a great battle for sure, but my sister this year, unfortunately, is not competing with us. We have a new competitor. Her name is Miss Koch, and I'm very happy that she's with us in Ferrari Challenge.
Hello, my name is Tina Koch. I'm from Denmark. I'm 56 years old. I took my driver license when I became 50, so I'm rather new. And I'm going to drive the Ferrari Challenge Ladies Cup for the first time. In my daily life, I'm educated as an intensive care nurse. So this is very special for me.
Hello, my name is Deborah Mayer. This is my second season in the Challenge European Series in Coppa Shell. I'm racing with Kessel Racing this year, and I'm very much looking forward to this new season, which will take place in some of the most amazing racetracks all around Europe, with the Finale Mondiale in Mugello.
The lovely ladies that are racing in the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell. And Tina, a big welcome to you. 56, don't believe a word of it. Von Skeltermar, 10th season in Ferrari Challenge. Now, I was having a conversation with Fons because ordinarily he's always had a red and black livery with the familiar sharp shark's teeth on both the crash helmet and the front of the car. But such has been the order bank for the 488 cars that they didn't have time to paint the car red. So the shark's teeth are on there, but the car is white, but expect it to be red when we turn up for the next round in Monza. So there we have it. Latest news from Von Skeltermar. We are just moments away from the start of the race, and there's Johnny Lawson back in the Ferrari Challenge. Last made his appearance in 2011. If you think it was a familiar name in Ferrari Challenge, you'll be right, from a few years ago. And by Jiminy, he made his presence felt yesterday by taking the win. Another former champion there is Beppe Scanetti, who is the man that's about to jump into the safety car. He is the official safety car driver, himself a former Ferrari Challenge champion. And may I say, having been in the passenger seat alongside him, boy, he can drive. Which is why he was a Ferrari champion, presumably. Very, very enjoyable time around the track with him. And there, the assembled grid of the Coppa Shell cars, which is, as I say, mostly made up of gentlemen, lady drivers, doing it for fun in possibly the most fun cars that you can imagine. These 488 cars, turbocharged for the first time ever in the Ferrari Challenge. And every driver that I have spoken to, when I've mentioned the car, there has been a smile erupt upon their face. Absolutely wonderful car to drive. So safety car lights up and will lead the cars away. Tradition and part of the Ferrari Challenge has always been that the starts are a rolling start, so the cars are released now, and gradually they will pick up the safety car and then it will be down to the front row of Rick Lovett and Johnny Lawson to control the pace of the rolling lap towards the end of it. We're on board with von Skelterman now. It's very downhill into turn number 1, the Jorge Martinez Aspar turn, which is a left-hander. And then going slightly uphill to turn number 2, which is McDoohan. We're on board with Eric Chung. Now, his qualifying today, P6, was not really what we expected from Eric Chung when you consider that he was on the podium P3 yesterday. It has to be said that a number of drivers had their fast laps wiped by race control because of track limits issues, and these track limits issues continue to be a bone of contention in motorsport generally. Basically, the rule is you can put 2 wheels over the white line that mark out the circuit. Any more than 2 wheels and you are in danger of being penalised because you're outside the track limits. And one I can remember from qualifying this morning was Manuel Agostna, who had a fast lap taken away for not observing those track limits. So that's something we'll keep an eye on during the course of the race. Manuel Agostna did qualify P13, and we're on board with the safety car looking back at Rick Lovett's Kessel Racing engineered car as it makes its way and has now caught the safety car up. So the cars will form up in their 2x2 grid formation ahead of being released by the safety car, and the rolling lap will start. So it's race 2 for the Coppa Shell drivers in the Ferrari Challenge opening round here at the Valencia circuit in Spain, where we are about 25 minutes or so from the city centre of that remarkable city. If you've never been to Valencia, I would urge you to come to the circuit, and I would urge you to come to the city as well. Absolutely magnificent. Stand by. Here comes the race. We go green, and Rick Lovett it is from pole position. Tanny Hanna with von Skelterman right alongside, and one of the cars was out on the grass, but look at Tanny Hanna, what a start he has made. So Tanny Hanna to the very right of your screen now as the cars all go through into turn number 1. It wouldn't surprise me if Tanny Hanna was up into P3 already. Extraordinary start from Tanny Hanna. Von Skelterman is being mugged, and he's dropping down. The order is behind Thomas Ghostin now in car number 161, but whilst all heck is breaking out behind, the 2 up front have just got about their business, and they're up the road. It's Lovett from Lawson, from Hanna, then it's Eric Chung. Another great start from Eric Chung. He finds himself in P4, and still lots of jostling for positions going on right in the early stages of this race. Not even 1 lap completed yet. Door open on one of the cars following some contact between 2 cars. But Rick Lovett just quietly going about his business and opening up a margin if he can over the Johnny Lawson car. Seeing lumps of rubber from earlier racing that's being distributed around the track. And who is that off? It's the 133 car of Murat Kuhardaroglu. He has gone off, and now what he's done is dragged a load of gravel onto the track and pulled out right in front of another car as well. He's having an absolute mare of it, isn't he? Murat Kuhardaroglu then, talented driver to be fair, but of course at the early stages of the race the tyres are quite cold, and therefore you can't push as hard as perhaps that you would like. One that is pushing hard is Tanny Hanna. And Tanny Hanna is up into P3, and it's 1 lap completed then as the first lap gets completed here. It's Lovett Larson, then it's Hanna, Chung, Christoph Herney, Vladimir Hladek is P6. And there you can see the Vladimir Hladek car, and that's the car, I think, that is being followed by the 162 car. That's the one with the door problem, and that's Christoph Herney then. Obviously some contact, I think, would have sprung that door open. So that was contact right at the start. Now that will be under the observations of the race stewards as to whether that is potentially dangerous. So Christoph Herney might pick up a what's called the meatball flag for a mechanical problem and might get called into the pit lane to have that resolved, which would be a great shame. Von Skelterman is right behind him. Vladimir Hladek though running in P5 in the 144 car, as you can see, chasing down that all-red machine of Eric Chung. Sure enough, the meatball flag goes out to car number 162. That's the black flag with the orange disc, and that basically means there's a mechanical problem, and it's clear to us all to see what the mechanical problem is on the 162 car, the Zenith Scion engineered Christoph Herney car. So that will have to be brought in. There will be a roll of gaffer tape standing by at the ready, I suspect, to seal that door, and then presumably he'll be allowed to return into the race. However, his P6 position will be thwarted, I regret to say. So von Skeltermar is the car that's following, and there you can see the door is absolutely wide open, isn't it? It doesn't necessarily form a danger until someone tries to overtake on that side of the car. Now, Rick Lovett has created a 1.7 second gap between himself and Johnny Lawson. Tanny Hanna is not quite able to get on terms with Johnny Lawson yet. Only a question of time, probably. Now, my understanding of the black flag with the orange disc, the so-called meatball flag, is that von Skeltermar goes through on the inside, and that was a genuine overtake, I think. My understanding of the meatball flag is that, a bit like a drive-through penalty, I think you have to have that attended to within 3 laps of being warned of that flag, and you can see from race control there on your screen confirmation of that. Manuela Gostner then in the number 183 car is the fastest of the ladies, currently running in P10. All 3 of the ladies that are racing in the Ladies' Cup that we saw earlier on. And it's now when that door flapping around is potentially dangerous. That was the overtake on board with von Skeltermar in replay. Thanks to the team for spinning that in so quickly. So von Skeltermar has elevated himself up into P6, and here comes the start then. There was one car right on the grass on the left-hand side. That might have been Claudio Schiavone, thanks Nico, alongside me here. And that was where the contact was. It was von Skeltermar sandwiched between Tanny Hanna and the 162 car of Christoph Herney. Tanny Hanna with a lightning start, has to be said. And there you can see, to the very right-hand side of your screen, Tanny Hanna then. He soon found himself in P3. It was right alongside Eric Chung. And Rick Lovett with the brake discs at the front lighting up as he converted that pole position into the race lead. On board then with the Formula Racing pit crew. And here is our race leader. Rick Lovett, Canadian racer, Kessel Racing. Loving his time in the Ferrari Challenge, Canadian, and has also periodically raced in the North American series of the Ferrari Challenge. There are 3 geographical series of Ferrari Challenge. Europe, which we are watching the opening round of here in Valencia. There's also North America and Asia Pacific as well. Johnny Lawson was victorious yesterday in the Coppa Shell Racing. He's P2 in this race, and it's Tanny Hanna that is the P3 driver at the moment, being chased down by Eric Chung and Vladimir Hladek. And Eric Chung is getting ever closer now to Tanny Hanna. This is going to be a real battle to watch for the final podium place then, which is P3. There is Tanny Hanna then for Formula Racing in the 157 car. It was he of that magnificent start which elevated him into P3 before we'd even got to turn number 2. He's being chased now by Eric Chung, who was on the podium yesterday. Tanny Hanna not taken a podium yet, so he would love to do that. But he is really being hounded now by Eric Chung. So Tanny breaks into the turn. Eric Chung, but all of them keeping within the track limits. Perhaps the one that's a little bit wayward is Vladimir Hladek at the back of that trio. And of course, Eric Chung is in the middle of this sandwich, isn't he? He's the meat in between. And that means he's having to try and attack Tanny Hanna, but also having to try and defend from Vladimir Hladek as well, who is running in P5 and would like to get past Eric Chung, whom we're on board with now, as the onboard camera doesn't much like the rumble strips. Eric Chung continuing to fight hard. You can just see the gear indicator on the dashboard there as he's up into 4th gear now, using that paddle shift to go up to 5th gear, getting absolutely everything out of this Turbo 488 car. Hladic is certainly closer to Eric Chung than Eric Chung is to Tanny Hanna. So Chung is having to defend. Vladimir Hladic then, car number 144 from the Baron service team. It's all playing into the hands a little bit of Tanny Hanna, who is able to get up the road and try and escape a bit. But in fairness, both Rick Lovett and Johnny Lawson have opened up such a margin. Rick Lovett is 1.8 seconds ahead of Johnny Lawson. In the meantime, there's a big gap from Lawson back to Tanny Hanna. So let's hear from on board with Eric Chung now.
Very good, Eric, very good. Keep him under pressure. Drive clearly, keep him under pressure. Good job, still pushing.
So keep the pressure on then. Absolutely, well, certainly doing his level best to keep him under pressure. But of course, he's got to keep him under pressure whilst also being focused on the car that is behind him. Every racing driver will tell you, you cannot race with your rearview mirror. You've got to focus on what's going ahead, but easier said than done. Well, car number 162, which is the car that has been given the black and orange flag, is still out there. Christoph Herney running in P7. Hasn't yet taken that black and orange flag. So Lovett Lawson, gap between the two, 1.7 seconds, a little bit more than that between Lawson and Tanny Hanna, who is P3. So Rick Lovett then, seemingly pretty comfortable. Johnny Lawson, he comes into the race buoyed with the confidence of the win yesterday. A good job in qualifying, but not quite as good a job as Rick Lovett, which saw them lock out the front row. Lawson P2 rather than P1. That went the way of Rick Lovett today, and it's been the result of the way it looks in the race so far. We're just about to complete the first 10 minutes of the race, and Lovett looks untroubled. One that potentially looks a bit vulnerable, potentially, is Tanny Hanna, and maybe also Eric Chung as well from Vladimir Hladic. And von Skeltermar is now beginning to reel them in. Von Skeltermar running in P6. There's Christoph Herney. Eric Prinot, who by his own admission has been relatively quiet this weekend, and he was explaining to us that he feels there's a lot more to come from the car once he and the team get used to the all-new 488 Challenge car. In fact, his words to me were, wait till Monza, Dave. Okay, so Manuela Gostner, leading in the ladies' race, is just behind her father, Thomas Gostner. Incidentally, Manuela is running in P10. Deborah Mayer is P15 with Tina Koch running in P18. So they're P2 and 3, respectively, in the Ladies' Cup, which is being led by Manuela Gostner in car number 183. There's her father, Thomas, just going through in the picture. Manuela doing a lot of racing this year. Really is upping her game. She had some tremendous performances during 2016, and glad to see her back and back with a vengeance in the 2017 season. So Lovett then maintains the gap. In fact, he is just marginally quicker than Johnny Lawson. Extended the gap to 1.898 seconds. So as they cross the timing line now, it'll be interesting to see whether he's increased that gap once again. Indeed he has. Car number 160, Johnny Lawson, being advised to got to respect track limits. Was warned for that on several occasions yesterday. He's running in P2. All of a sudden now, Eric Chung has got back right onto the back of Tanny Hanna. As we're on board with Christian there, you can see in the middle of the picture, who's one of the Corso Clienti driver coaches with Formula Racing this weekend. So there, that's what I was talking about. All of a sudden, Eric Chung is back on the rear end of Tanny Hanna. So Tanny Hanna going to have to start defending very heavily once again, as Eric Chung will try and get past him and secure what is at the moment the final podium position. Tanny Hanna and Eric Chung, the margin between them just 4 tenths then, as you can see. Cars, of course, are identical. setups can be engineered by the teams. Super slow-mo pictures then of the truly glorious looking, you see the little aero flicks at the front of the car, truly glorious looking 488 car. And Tanny Hanna now is looking a bit wayward, isn't he, as the pressure is beginning to mount from Eric Chung. Let's go on board with him now as he chases down the Tanny Hanna car. He'll go to the outside now and try and get underneath Tanny Hanna. Tanny makes his 488 as wide as possible to try and prevent that through turn number 14, which is not a notorious overtaking turn here at the Valencia circuit. They're running downhill now towards turn number 1. And there is Hanna then, running in P3. Eric Chung really on him now, and Hanna runs a bit wide. Eric Chung almost alongside, has to dive out of that. Good respectful driving between the two of them there. Would have kept his foot in, inevitably there would have been contact and might have even spelled the end for their races. So for the moment, Eric Chung has seen off the challenge from Vladimir Hladek, and instead can focus on trying to attack ahead. Peter Gerk is behind Deborah Mayer then. Deborah Mayer is P2 in the Ladies' Cup at the moment and is running at P15 with Peter Gerk running in P16 in the race overall. The 108 car there for Deborah Mayer then, who we heard from right at the beginning of the program. It's her second year in the Ferrari Challenge. So enjoyed it last year, and in fairness, at the Finale Mondiale event in Daytona last year at the World Finals, already mentioning the fact that the orders for the 488 racing cars had already gone in to continue love with this Ferrari Challenge. Brake discs lighting up on the Murat Kuhadaroglu car. Now, of course, Murat, you'll recall, has had an off earlier in the race and is currently running down there in P17. Deborah Mayer under pressure from Peter Gerk. And Murat Kuhadaroglu trying to get on terms with that car as well. Moment, Deborah Mayer is able to show Peter Gerk clean pair of heels. Now, car number 162 has been given a black flag, going to be disqualified from the race. I rather thought that might happen. Basically, if you see the meatball flag, you have to have whatever the mechanical problem is attended to. And if you choose not to have that attended to, then unfortunately it is a black flag and you're out of the race. So Formula Racing then on the pit perch, and they know that the race at the front is between Lovett, Kessel Racing driver, and of course Johnny Lawson, who is very much theirs, running in P2, the Formula Racing driver that won the race yesterday. So Christoph Herney then in car number 162, being shown the black flag, as is confirmed, and it's for that mechanical problem, and the mechanical problem is nothing other than that door. And if he'd have come into the pit lane and had it gaffer taped up, then he could have continued. I appreciate ruins the race, but the race is more than ruined now because it's not even going to get a place, has been disqualified by dint of that black flag that you've just seen being shown on the pit wall. Tanny Hanna is continuing to defend from Eric Chung. Eric Chung has not been able to find a way past Tanny Hanna, Middle East based driver who races in the European Ferrari Challenge. And what have we got? Just about 12 3/4 minutes left in the race, so we're going to begin to see some tyre degradation now as the tyres have been pushed hard. And Eric Chung now to the outside. He'll try and get underneath the Tanny Hanna car, but Tanny sticks his elbows out and makes the car as wide as possible to prevent Eric Chung being able to do so. And it's at this stage where just potentially we might see the cars looking a bit more wayward on the track, as the tyre degradation means that the grip that was afforded in the early stages of the race clearly is not going to be there towards the end of the race. So Lovett leading from Lawson, then it's Hanna and Chung. This battle that we are watching. I was tempted to say it's a matter of when, not if, that Eric Chung is going to get past Tanny Hanna, but having seen his stoic defence, I'm not so sure. This is Peter Gerck, and that just proves my point, actually, that you can try and overtake, and Eric Chung here taking a look at the outside of Tanny Hanna, and this is where he would try and get underneath him, but unable to do so. Didn't have the forward momentum, but is continuing his quest. And this great defensive driving from Tanny Hanna. Whilst all this is going on, Johnny Lawson is quicker than Rick Lovett. Just something for you to keep an eye on, perhaps. What have we got? 11.5 minutes of the race left. Christoph Herney has turned into the pit lane now. Really rather too late. Just keep an eye on our timing screens. If Lawson continues to take time out of Rick Lovett, it might be a battle to watch, but at the moment this is definitely the battle to watch, and well done for sticking with it as we watch Tanny Hanna and Eric Chung fighting over the final podium place that's available in this Coppa Shell race in the Ferrari Challenge, the opening round of which here in Spain, and head off to the spiritual home of Monza for the next round of the Ferrari Challenge. Completely different lines being taken by Tanny Hanna and Eric Chung there, and out goes the 168 car. That's David Lim, the Formula Racing car. If he can limp it back from there, he'll do jolly well. Well, he had some forward momentum, and I'm just thinking that he's waiting for the traffic to pass before he gives it a footful and tries to get back out onto the track. So David Lim having gone around. So Lovett and Lawson, and again, Lawson was quicker last lap than Rick Lovett, but Lovett has still got 1.4 seconds in hand. Von Skeltermaar running in P6 for Cassel Racing. Now his is the car that's all white at the moment, that you'll find will be all red when we go to Monza. Dials the car into the turn. Oh, big footfall, and you can see the tyre degradation as he had to slide the car. Johnny Lawson once again being advised to just keep an eye on his track limit excursions, and as he's trying to chase down Rick Lovett, again with the tyres offering less adhesion than they did right at the start of the race. He's taking all four wheels outside the white lines. Rick Lovett in the meantime still with that 1.4 second margin. We do still have 9 minutes of the race left to run. Certainly made no errors, and I just wonder whether he's managing the gap, because the lap times are pretty similar, although last lap around Johnny Lawson was a tenth or so quicker. So the update then is Lovett Lawson, then it's Hanna, Chung, Hladek, Skeltermaar, Prinot, Thomas Gosner, Manuela Gosner and Claudio Schiavone. Rounding out the top 10, the way it looks as another lap is in the book here at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia. For the moment, Tanny Hanna has seen off the charge and challenge from Eric Chung, but both of them, whilst they've been fighting, have pulled themselves away from Vladimir Hladek sufficiently so that Eric is not having to worry too much about what's going on behind him. And let's find out what the motivation is on the team radio.
Okay, Eric, great job. Stay focused. Keep pushing in this way. Die.
Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Well, he is doing that. Team engineer then trying to motivate and propel him even quicker than he is at the moment, but Tanny Hanna is doing a great job in defending. There, over the last 3 laps, you can see the margin between them. course, they're both racing for the same team, Formula Racing. It's sort of an inter-team battle between the two of them, Tani Hanna and Eric Chung. One of the real appeals of the Ferrari Challenge is, generally speaking, everyone in the paddock, all friends with each other and just out there racing for jolly good fun. Eric Prinot being warned about track limits now, the Ineco MP driver who's currently running in P7. It was really a shadow of his former self yesterday because he was feeling unwell. Today he's feeling much better, and as he explained to us just before coming on the air, still a lot more to come from the car, the team and the interaction. And he said also from me as a driver, learning about this new car. It's not a question of just getting out of the 458 Evo, which was last year's challenge car, jumping into this and being successful straight away. It's going to take a bit more than that, a bit of learning. So very humble of Eric to explain that. Somebody that doesn't need the learning of the car, it would appear, is Rick Lovett, who's doing a very, very good job. And last lap around, and this is why I say I think he's just managing that gap. He was quicker than Johnny Lawson. And there is Eric Prinot. And you can see why he's being warned with regards to track limits, with all four wheels for the second time of asking outside of the track limits. I think we've seen anyone penalised actually in the race for track limits excursions. Certainly have seen drivers penalised in qualifying, with fastest laps having been taken away from them. Hannah then continuing to show a clean pair of heels to Eric Chung. Eric would desperately love to finish the weekend having achieved 2 podiums. Tani Hanna, of course, would like to be on the podium for the first time. So the motivation is as great for both of them. Peter Gerk then is chasing down Murat Kuhardaroglu now. You can just see the back end of the car stepping out a bit, the Murat Kuhardaroglu car. There, another good example of it. Chasing down Deborah Mayer. Ahead of Deborah Mayer is the yellow and purple machine. Love that livery, I have to be honest with you. So Deborah Mayer then, another one of the lady racers out there on track, and Deborah Mayer is being chased now by Peter Gerk. So Ingvar Madsen then in the 199 car is currently running P13. There's Manuela Gosner, who's leading the ladies race. She's P9 in the race overall. Good showing from Manuela Gosner. I remember her being really feisty during the second half of last year's racing campaign. Oh, that's a great shame. Deborah Mayer has spun around, and that's at turn 14. Well, I suspect spun around with a little bit of assistance from Murat Kuhardaroglu there. Oh, that's a great shame. Black and white flag being shown to car number 160 now, Johnny Lawson. Now, bear in mind, he's in second place. Last thing he needs is a penalty. And as we speak, he's being warned on the team radio to just be very, very careful now, with a black and white warning flag having been given. So Rick Lovett then, just under 4 minutes to continue defending his P1 position. The margin has come down a bit. 3 laps left to run. Now, Johnny Lawson's last lap, a 1:38.210. Rick Lovett's last lap, a 1:38.782. What we don't know is how advantaged Johnny Lawson was by going over the track limits. But after saying that, Hannah, Chung, both running in the 38.2s as well. So the incident that we just saw with Murat Kuhardaroglu and Deborah Mayer will be investigated after the end of the race. Do you know what? I can tell you what the result of that is going to be, and who will be adjudged to be at fault of that almost now, I think, from what we saw on the camera angle. Oh, another one round is Thomas Gosner, father of Manuela Gosner. Now he's gone round, he's on the grass. Now, can Thomas Gosner get the car going from there? Yes, he can. Spins it around. And, well, there we have it. Just the back end stepped out. He wasn't quite able to control it and ended up on the grass. So Thomas Gosner then, his P13 position, going to go further down the order now, I'm afraid to say. Right, last lap around, 1:38.7 for Lovett, and as I mentioned, the next 3 cars all in the 38.2, so it'll be very interesting to see who's done what in this lap. There is our race leader. For my money, Lawson is getting closer to him now. The gap has come down to just over 1 second. When they last crossed the timing line, they're going to cross the timing line now, and we'll get a live gap for you, and we'll find out exactly what it is. Well, actually, Lovett has increased it by a couple of tenths because it's up to 1.3 now with 2 laps to run. Here comes Tanny Hanna, who also for now seems to have seen off the charge and challenge from Eric Chung. What can Eric throw at the Tanny Hanna car? Well, let's go on board with him as he tries. The Formula Racing driver, Eric Chung. Tanny Hanna, teammate ahead of him. Of course, whilst they all drive for the same team, absolutely no team orders. So every driver from himself out there. Say that looking from through the windscreen here, the drivers adopting similar lines and strategies. Eric's turn in a bit sharper there, but Tanny Hanna gets a slightly better exit. Up into 5th gear. Heavy braking, and Chung getting ever closer now to Tanny Hanna. Of course, the other thing to consider is Eric Chung is having to do this driving in the dirty air, the turbulent air that's coming off the back of Tanny Hanna's car. And he'll be pushing his tyres much more than Tanny Hanna, although they have the back-marking number 100 car now of Tina Koch to try and get past as well. So there is Eric. Tanny Hanna's car looking really skittish under heavy braking. Well, Tina done a fantastic job in making way for the faster cars approaching. Formula Racing then on the team radio. Final lap we're on then. Rick Lovett and Lawson then, 1.1 seconds between them. Is Eric Chung going to go for a last lap lunge somewhere around this track and try and get past Tanny Hanna? Be an interesting discussion over a cup of coffee at the end of the race, that's for sure, in the team lounge of Formula Racing. Eric is certainly taking bits of grass, curb, you name it, everything he can to just try and find a millimetre to get past. Here is Rick Lovett then, who has not put one wheel wrong during the course of the race. I think he's very cleverly managed the gap up front, and the Kessel driver has been able to hold Johnny Lawson at bay and will be heading for his first win of the 2017 season. Followed by Johnny Lawson, last appearance in the Ferrari Challenge coming back in 2011. Rick Lovett has been a mainstay for the last 2 or 3 years, certainly, and a very welcome participant in the Ferrari Challenge as he rounds turn 14. He will head to see the checkered flag unfurled for him. It's P1 for Rick Lovett. He takes the win. Second goes the way of Johnny Lawson. Who's it going to be for third? Well, Tanny Hanna has done everything that he needed to do to convert his great start into a podium place. He takes P3. Eric Chung is P4. Valiant efforts from Eric Chung. He tried very hard. Then it will be Vladimir Hladic takes P5, von Skeltermar P6, Eric Prenot P7. It should be Claudio Schiavone that takes P8, indeed it is. Manuela Gosner is the best of the ladies. She takes P9 with Christian Kinch P10. Tommy Lindroth taking P11. Good show from Tommy Lindroth. Hardly seen him in the program. Then it's Ingvar Mattsson, Thomas Gosner, Murat Kuhadaroglu and Peter Gerg. So Claudio Schiavone, we can see there as the marshals come out to offer their applause to the competitors. And there is our race winner, Rick Lovett, in car number 112. Kessel Racing Now Rick will get double bubble on the podium because he'll have the podium win, and he'll also take the gentleman's win as well. So Lovett, Larson and Hannah will be on the podium, and we'll also see, for the second time this weekend, Manuela Gosner to take the ladies' win. Johnny Lawson, whatever he did, wasn't enough to try and get on terms with Rick Lovett, but of course he was able to. Lovett was just able to get up the road at the very start, and that is so advantageous. And once you've built up that cushion, it's very difficult to get that back. So the cars on their slowing down lap will be heading to Parc Fermé. Then it will be up to the podium. Of course, we lost Christoph Herney in the race with a mechanical problem, which needed to be attended to and was not attended to, and subsequently he got a black flag and was disqualified from the race. Manuela Gosner then, as I mentioned, winner in the Ladies' Cup. And we'll be seeing her up on the podium once again. Cars make their way into the pit lane, and Parc Fermé for the 1, 2, 3, and also for Manuela Gosner. Well, Rick Lovett done a very, very good job. We're on board with Eric Chung then. Well, Rick Lovett there, absolutely delighted with his win. Johnny Lawson with not such good a parking. Similar to underground car park my colleague and I were in city centre of Valencia last night, where the space was not quite big enough for the car. And Tani Hannah. I mentioned in the program yesterday that Tani Hannah, on one of his Facebook posts ahead of the race weekend, said the car is new, the motivation is new, but the driver is still old. He was self-deprecating. And there is Manuela Gosner, having taken the win for the ladies' race. Okay, let's enjoy the Ferrari show now. So there we have it, looking down on the podium now. Another shot of this fantastic circuit. Classification confirmation then: Lovett, Larson, Hannah, the 1, 2, 3, with Eric Chung, Vladimir Hladek, von Skeltermar, Eric Prinot, Claudio Schiavone, Manuela Gosner taking P9 in the race and taking the win in the ladies' race, and Christian Kinch running out the top 10. Just outside the top 10, Tommy Lindroth, and it was Ingvar Mattsson, Thomas Gosner, Murat Kuhardaroglu, Peter Kirk, Deborah Mayer, Tina Koch, David Lim, and Christoph Herney we lost in the race, of course. And there is Tina Koch explaining the race, and Eric Chung as well. Let's head up to the podium now. Well, podium will be readied in just moments from now. So there is Tina Koch.
She was leaving an enormous amount of gravel towards me and everybody else. But there must have been some officials seeing it, but maybe they don't want to do anything.
Listening into the conversation there.
And then I had a spin.
Great to see you, Tina, racing. Trying to eavesdrop on the conversation, which is terribly rude, but sometimes you do learn things during the course of the race, and I think the conversation there was about the rubber marbles that were being thrown off cars, and on the runoff area where sometimes you see those, which are just particles of the rubber off the tyres. So, podium then is underway. There's Tani Hanna, there's Johnny Lawson, and Rick Lovett. And here comes Manuela Gosner then. Ronnie Cassell himself on the podium. Super guy. National anthem then to play out for Rick Lovett. So anthem plays out then for Rick Lovett. And here come the trophy presentations. First of all to Tani Hanna. Gonzalo Gerber then the general manager here at the circuit, Ricardo Tormo, of which you should be very proud, sir. A fine circuit, very well maintained, as Johnny Lawson collects his trophy. And now the race winner, Rick Lovett. Holds his trophy aloft. Ronnie Cassell then, another trophy to add to the burgeoning Cassell mantelpiece back at their workshops. And of course Rick Lovett receives another trophy for being the best of the gentlemen. And there Thomas Gosner and Corinna Gosner look on as Manuela Gosner, sister and daughter, receives the Ladies' Cup trophy. So they all get together for the photographs. Then it will be the race for the podium. You watch Ronnie Cassell go now. There you go. Rick Lovett tried to hold on to him. He was having none of it. I'm off, chap. Fantastic. Well, they're all enjoying the podium up there, and so they should. They've delivered a good race for us to enjoy. And here comes some super slow-mos to the top three then. First of all, for Formula Racing, taking P3, Tani Hanna. For P2, also for Formula Racing, Johnny Lawson. But taking the win for Cassell, it's the Canadian racer Rick Lovett. So there, the podium done and dusted, and still many spectators here. Next event then, Monza. Between the 9th and the 11th of June, not long to wait for more Ferrari Challenge race action to come your way. Please make sure you join us for that, because the whole season's going to be absolutely fantastic. Facebook.com/Ferrari or races.ferrari.com. A couple of places where you can check out all the information with regards to the Ferrari Challenge as we take a look at the race-winning car there, the 112 car of Rick Lovett. 70 years of Ferrari, 1947 to 2017. Stand by, let's have a look at the highlights of that race. Great to see those highlights then. A very, very delighted Manuela Gosner. In the Drivers' Championship then, as we head towards Monza for the next round, Rick Lovett leads, followed by Johnny Lawson and Eric Chung. It's all very close over the 1, 2, 3, which makes the races to come at Monza even more compelling. So Rick Lovett on 38 points, Johnny Lawson just 1 point behind. And there, the second page of the Drivers' Championship, as you can see. As I say, it really makes the two races at Monza very, very compelling indeed. So, super slow-mo then for our three lady racers. Tina Koch then for Formula Racing, making her debut in the Ferrari Challenge. Deborah Mayer, who is into her second season of racing. This year racing with the Kessel Racing Team. Deborah Mayer then, very welcome back into the Ferrari Challenge. And ever-present Manuela Gosner then, who, as I mentioned earlier, is doing a lot of racing this year, getting a lot of track time, and therefore is going to be very, very potent in the Ladies' Cup as well as in the Coppa Shell category itself. And in the Ladies' Drivers' Championship, Manuela Gosner then on 3 points, Deborah Mayer on 1, and Tina Koch on 1 as well. So Manuela Gosner heads the separate Ladies' Cup that we have within the Coppa Shell. So that's the way it looks then. So Ferrari Challenge opening round here at Valencia is done and dusted. Please make sure you join us in Monza for the next round. Bye-bye from us.